welcome to a tutorial in Photoshop. Today we're working on the Surrealism, and today we're going to work on the hand distortion, taking a bunch of different hands and put them on fingers and making something that looks pretty messed up. So what we're going to do today, how we're going to start, we just are making a new document here, going to go into photo, and like what you would find in like Shoppers Drug Mart, you got like your 7x5, 3x2, but there's some other presets, just like when you get your grad photos there. You've got your landscape 8x10. I think what we're going to do is go 8x10 portrait, and you can also adjust that stuff over here. So we're just going to go create, and we've got our template. Now, I took a bunch of photos with the class today, and I've got a bunch here. I'm going to select the first one. I can either hold down the Shift key in order to, and then click on the last one, and it selects all in between. Or I can just hold down the Control key and just select certain ones that I want. And then I'm just going to drag them into Photoshop. If I drag them down here, they kind of put them all into one document. Drag it over here, and it opens up into different tabs. So here we're starting there. We've got a bunch of different hand styles here. So let's go to this is going to be our base, and the first thing I'm going to do is going to put this into our document, our 8x10. So rather than me just selecting like the hand and cutting and pasting and putting it in, what I'm going to do, deselect, Control D, I'm going to go Control A to just select all of it, Control C to copy. If I could hit this X here to close that window, but Control W closes that, and then go back to here and Control V, paste that in. Then I could go to Edit and Free Transform but you can see here, Free Transform is Control T. It tells you. So we're just going to go Control T and going to scale that down. Holding down the Alt key, it also scales it down from the center. So let's rotate that. Holding down the Shift key, it keeps it locked at like a 5, but we're just going to just have that like say about there, and hit Enter to activate my transformation. Okay, good. First, now let's just take one of these guys here. I'm going to take this hand here, and because I shot it on a black background, I have the option to be sloppy. I've given myself a little bit of wiggle room here. So Control C to copy, or just go copy there. Control W, or hit that to close that down, and Control V to paste. So because I've used the same background, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to work with. I'm just going to move that into the right spot there. However, maybe in order to make my life a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is to make this layer up here semi-transparent. I'm going to make it semi-transparent by bringing that down to about 50, and that way I can see both. And what this does, that allows me to see both, and I can I can just put that kind of in the same spot. I'm going to just put like the nub of the finger right over top and line the two up a little bit like so. So I'm using the pointer finger on the pointer finger. I think that's somewhat fitting. And then just hit OK to activate the transformation, bringing my opacity back up to 100%. And then just using the eraser tool, and I could just hit the eraser tool, I could just hit the E on my keyboard to get the eraser tool. And then let's make it like a hardness 0, and I'm just going to start blending that into there. Okay. Now, that looks all right. We're going to have to make that a little bit darker there, but let's just zoom in. Now you can still see our edge, but what it allows us to do, let's just bring this down using the square brackets just to bring my eraser down, and I'm just going to take away some of that edge there. Okay. This just allows me, and I could be, you're going to notice it a little bit. Bring that down. All right. So what I'm doing, oh, I was reading the word. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I am taking that this down around here, But you know, because it's somewhat the same background, it allows me to be a little sloppy. All right, and then, oh, we missed this, didn't even notice it. Okay, so when we put this back, it looks like it fits. Now, the shadow here, it doesn't really necessarily match because we've got this nice broad shadow here, and these are very small shadows here. What I will do is actually, I will go in and I am going to maybe fine-tune that a little bit, going to eat away at that shadow. And then I'm going to show you what I'm just going to make the shadow bigger and more broad. So let's just take that away and just take this away. So now I've kind of eliminated the shadow. But I will take the color of the shadow, use my eyedropper tool there, right there, or the eye, and this I'm going to take a sample of that color. Then in a new layer, call it shadow, just to keep things organized, and put that underneath this hand. I'll call that pointer. And now working in this layer using my brush tool here, let's just, I'm just going to paint in a nice little shadow. Now I'm going to keep it really small. I'm going to, the opacity, the strength of the brush, I could have it at 100 and it would make that super, super dark. But if I back off the brush, then it allows me just to work at it slowly. And that is a lot more desirable. Let's make my brush a little bit bigger. I could do it that way, or I could just use the square brackets just to make it bigger. And I'm just going to, let's just do that, okay? And then sometimes I like to use the multiply just to richen that up and then back off my opacity on that. So now, now that actually looks like it fits, okay? Let's back up on that. There, though, the shadow looks a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick, let's use the, let's use this guy here because the OK symbol, I'm going to go copy, Control C, Control W to close that one down, go back to this guy here. I'm going to paste this in like so. Call it OK, I guess. OK. And Control T to get my free transform and bring that down. OK, spin that around. Oh, I guess I should have backed it off. Let's hit OK, and then I'm just going to back that off to about there so I can see both of them. And that one, because she's on kind of on the side here, it makes more sense to have it on the thumb. It kind of matches a little bit better. Alrighty. So let's do something like that. What do I want to line that up on? Bring that a bit down. I don't want it to be too big. There we go. Okay. So then let's bring this back up to 100 and go back to my eraser and make my eraser big now, and we're just going to start blending and just kind of going into this until it matches, it meets, and it looks like it kind of fits as much as a finger on a thumb is going to fit, or a hand on a thumb. Yeah, let's just go with that. And then I'm just going to get rid of this, okay, just to make that look a little bit better. There we go. And then, oh, I did a little too much because we got there's the finger in the background there. What I might do to clean that up. Alright, let's bring that down, and that way I can get a little more fine-tuned here. Okay. There. So what I will do there, I got that fingernail that's there. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. I'm going to take some data from over here, holding down the Alt key, and there, just wipe that out, and now you don't see that at all. Oh, now I took too much away. All right, let's actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it here, but then I'm just only going to work there, and it only affects the layer. So that's that looking a little messed up. I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of them. Um, let's use the eraser tool. And I'm just, whoops, working in the wrong layer. There we go. So what I'm going to do it to all of them. And if you want, in this tutorial video, actually I'll leave that. You can skip ahead because I'm going to do all these in the whole video. So let's, I'm just going to get started here. So either you're with me right now, or you've skipped ahead. So let's just bring that back. Bring that to 50. Alright, and then we'll bring that to there. Alright, so free transforms go in like so. And back. I just had to cut this. I had an interruption, so I'm splicing this back together here. So let's bump this back up to 100 and start messing around there. Okay, that looks a little too... kind of regret doing that. Okay, but that works good. Let's go get another one. And I guess I didn't close that. The hang 10 symbol. Grab that. Copy. Close her down. And oh good, I have enough pictures for each finger. Bring that in. Alright, Control T for the transform. There we go. Because maybe I should make it here because I think I might stick out more, and I don't want to run one finger to that just because the hang 10 symbol kind of maybe sticks out a little bit more. And good. Okay, bring that back up to 100 and just start blending that in. There we go. And then let's take a look at that. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, got lots to clean up. I could use the lasso tool, but there we go. Last one. Oh, okay, that works good. Copy, paste in here. Let's bring that back. I forgot to do that. Okay, so let's bring that up. There. And bring that in. Okay. So, oh, that actually worked out pretty good. Let's bring that back up to 100. Actually, if you're here, if I just hit like the 9, oh, I'm here. Let's see. If I have the 9, it changes that to 90. If I hit the 5, it changes the opacity to 50. The 1 changes it to 10%. 0 changes it to 100. That's a nice little quick key tip for you. There we go. And then let's... There we go. And move along. actually I will use, so I'll just, because I already have that, we can just do that, hit delete, and then that takes care of that. Okay, now let's just maybe add a little bit of better shadows in. I'm just going to use the same shadow layer, and this one I already have. Oh, look at that. Let's fix that up. I'm just going to do that. Looks like holding down the shift key. I've got that. There. Looks like I got some cleaning up to do there. So let's just the OK, delete. That's the pointer, and that one is the thumbs up. I didn't label it, but I think it's that one. There we go. So let's start adding in some shadows. So I already have the sample of my color there. Just using the brush, it's already at a very small strength, and I'm just going to add that in there. Just kind of broadening out those things, okay? I see there's a bit of a there we go. There. Okay, that works. Let's see. I did it to that one already. Now, my only thing I'm afraid of is that I may have to bite into this a little bit. Let's just see how it looks. Just adding some more shadow there. That works good. And then this one, we can bring that down a bit. There we go. That works out good. And this one, probably a bigger one, just kind of just toning that. Okay. So now it looks like a little bit more. Okay, so there's some color correction issues that we need to do here. Like so here, we can, let's go to this guy right here, the hang 10. And we know that it needs to get a little more pinky, and the highlights are too big. So let's go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. This is kind of my go-to. These are the shadows, midtones, and highlights. You can see I could actually make things more highlighty, bring the shadows up, adjust my midtones here. But overall, it actually needs to be a little darker like that. Okay. So I'm just going to remember that. Then the other thing I need to do is make it look a little more pinky. Probably the easiest way, there's lots of ways to do it. Probably the easiest way is to go into the color balance and go into highlights and just make that a little bit more red. Alright, and then, so that's looking a little bit more red. I'm going to make it is a little too far. So what I'll do then, it looks a little too saturated, so let's just go into my hue saturation and we just tone it down. Okay, so that is like making it black and white, and then but just toning that down, the color down. And then actually I don't like this, so I'm going to actually, we're going to try a couple of different things here. What happens if I take away a bit more? I'm actually going to take my eraser tool and make it so that my eraser tool isn't as intense, and just start to fade that. Well, that's way, 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 way better. Okay, let's actually do that to these guys too then. Just starting with that, because that's just a heck of a lot. Oh, too much. Because I can start to see the figure. And then this guy here. So that one. Okay, so now, rather than doing that to all these ones for this tutorial, I think I'm just going to leave that there. This looks good. Actually, no, I'm going to do it. So this first thing, going to bring in the levels, bring that down. I'm going to go to there. Then, and if I control click on a layer, it goes to that layer. So I'm going to bring that, my highlights down a little bit, and control click on that, bring my highlights down. I could use adjustment layers, but I haven't really shown you guys that yet. Then going to go into my color balance, and Control B is that quick key, and going to just make that a little bit more red, and it is a little too intense. That's okay. Control B, and go into my highlights. I'm going to make them a little more red. Maybe that's a little too much. Maybe a little too much magenta there. And then this guy right there, Control B, again, go into my highlights, make that a little bit more red. That one looks pretty good. But I will go into my hue saturation. Control U is the quick key for that. So back to here, Control U. A little too much there. And then this guy, Control U. Alright. Now, I could have done all this with adjustment layers. There, just blend that guy. Oh, that's way better. Okay. So actually, and we're going to leave that one alone because just kind of the flesh tones there seem to work out. So we've kind of made this pretty messed up. What some people do too is they might make the thing black and white. What we can do is, these are called adjustment layers down here, and all those things down here, like we've got levels, you've got color balance, you've got hue saturation, all that stuff is here already. But what these are is if I were to select that, it shows up as a layer over here. And so all those same things, like if I were to make things like more saturated or black and white, and all those things like levels, whatever, then they all, then this is a great way in order to saving yourself a lot of grief, because it shows up as a layer, and I can turn that off and I can turn that on. Or if I were to drag that down, you'll see it only uses it manipulates the layers underneath it, and so you can see the hands black and white, but all these are in color now. But I'll just drag that to the top, and actually I'll do the same thing for my levels. Go to levels, and I'm just going to bump up the contrast there of everything. There, just try to make it look a little bit more creepy looking. Alright, so there we go. That's how you do that one little surrealism one. Not sure how long that took, maybe what, about 20 minutes? So there you go. Good luck with your assignment.